Welcome to the December buyer user group, the last buyer user group of 2021. Thank you so much for joining us today for a special transition user group that is going to be focused on your questions and getting you those answers. We have a lovely panel of people representing not only DPS, but also we have CGI. So Mark, wave to everybody. All right. We want to make sure that we get you those answers that you have at this point. And before we get into addressing those questions, Shane, I'm going to let you give us a little update on where we are.
Well, there are a lot of, thank you, Kim, and thank you to all of our panelists who are with us today. Where we are, there's a lot of moving pieces and parts. I know we're driving and really in less than a month from what our go live date is, and I know there's lots of things moving around and lots of things in consideration, lots of testing and training going on. So we're just tracking ahead, making lots of decisions this week, and hopefully buttoning up a lot of things as we continue to move forward. So excited on what we're seeing and the new functions in the Evaluate tool, but also juggling a lot of moving pieces and parts. And it's been I'm sure it's been a busy week and a busy month and a busy year for everybody out there. I can tell you for sure it's been extremely busy here at DGS and DPS, particularly through this week as we're really pointed to some decision-making time. So lots of things being considered right now. I just want to throw out to everyone, we appreciate, I've seen a lot of individuals and organizations involved with testing. I've seen a lot of individuals and organizations moving forward with their training programs, moving forward with the training that's available through the LMS system. It's been quite a, again, I know it's a lot, particularly with the holiday season coming up, but I can't thank everyone enough for everything that they're doing to make this as successful as possible as we continue to move forward. So just number one, a big heartfelt thank you to everybody. And also a big, as we kind of started, for those of you that were able to jump on, and Kim kind of going through the holiday season and your favorite movies during this holiday season, no matter what holiday that you celebrate, a happy holidays, happy Hanukkah, Merry Christmas, and anything else I might have missed for no matter what you celebrate during this time of year, even if you're looking forward to New Year's. Maybe you're not because of the go live date, but maybe you're not looking forward to the New Year's at this point. But in any case, just wishing everyone a happy holidays, because this will likely be from a large group setting until we go into some support things in 2022, likely the last time we have a bug meeting before we turn the calendar into 2022. So with that, I'll go around. Joining us today, Jan Giffen, our Eva business manager, Joel Paddo, who a lot of you know Joel, but he is with DGS ISS and is our technical project manager. Joel off and on joins us for bug meetings. The big reason he's here today is because interface integration testing and some of the data exchange testing that is going on. Mark Orlando from CGI, project manager on the CGI side. Excited to have him. Lisa Kirby, who, yes, she's the Eva deputy director, but if you've done any testing at all, she's kind of running the whole thing from that perspective. And outside of some of the interface and integration testing, but all the rest of the testing is kind of being coordinated by Lisa. And so you've likely heard from her. Barb Lehman, our PCR director, and Barb has been with us several times, and then of course, Kim. So without further ado, you guys are loading up the questions. I can see them coming in. I know Kim will help us occasionally dive around and things like that. I know the first one here, I've already passed this one off to Sarah Lewis. Sarah is not a panelist today, but I can answer for her because I have a chat. If you see me looking around, I've got monitors everywhere. And I threw her this in the chat, but it's from, I think Micklem, Katie Micklem. I'm sorry if I messed up your last name there, Katie. Are you all going to have training for approvers? Yes, there is a learning journey for approvers, so I can answer that one. And she said there was one clip, but it does not show how they log in and how to get to it. Sarah's feedback on that, was that she feels like the approver pathway was pretty thorough, but she'll have a look as well, and kind of make sure that it's a thorough, that you're getting the right thing when you approve. I can tell you from experience and being in testing, anybody in the approval flow will get an email that they have something to approve. Also in the buyer portal, that portal when you log in, there's a to-do list. And so you'll be able to access things from there as well. So you'll still get those email notifications. You'll also have a to-do list if you're an approver where you can go in and go right into the to-do list and get into things. Now, some of the complexity with approving, in positive complexity, positive functionality, is the ability to delegate very easily your approval and send it to an individual. And that's kind of out of the box functionality. It's really kind of a cool thing. You can take something and move it to somebody. You can delegate one transaction, multiple transactions, pretty cool features. But the base approving, end user gets an email or the approver gets an email. And also when they log in, there's like there'll be a to-do box. Now, again, in UAT, that may not be set up yet, but I know when we go to production, one of my tasks to do will be right there. Also in the top right-hand corner, there's a drop down there. So appreciate that question. I'm going to pull Mark in on this next one because I know we've made some changes, and maybe Joel too, because I know we made some changes here. It's from Dean Stubbs. It's, well, wait a minute. I can answer this one, and then there's one coming up about header level comments. So I can answer the first one, and Mark can correct me if I'm wrong. How about that? Dean Stubbs, confirming orders. Will these be listed in the same list in a supplier's account with standard orders, or will the confirming orders be in a different list? My understanding is they're in the same list, but there's a filter. And right now they're filtered to just purchase orders, and you knock the filter out and the confirming orders come in. Is that correct? I saw Mark shaking his head. Yes.
Yes, correct. The default is the normal orders, and then it's pre-filtered not to show the confirming, but if the end users will see that, they can just change it and take it out.
So that is something we'll deal with in supplier training to make sure they see those confirming orders and make sure they know how to get to them. Again, it's all the same list, which is good. It's just a filtering thing where you knock that out and all the confirming orders come in. So thank you, Dean, for that one. And then the next one I do, because I know we've made some changes to this, and gosh, we've done so much that my memory is terrible. Will header level comments be on the PDF version of the purchase order?
Yes.
Yes. Okay. So the answer to that is yes. That's an easy one. The reason I asked that is there is a little nuance, or there was a nuance. Just what iValua does, the platform we're using, header comments were internal and line comments were external. Well, quite honestly, I can see Joel shaking his head. That caused some problems for some of our interface and integration agencies. There was an issue with that because a lot of them use the header comments to put in some qualifying information that they want the vendor to see. It could be shipping information or all sorts of things. And so we've actually switched it where the header comments and the line comments are going to be going over and visible. And that was a change to help with some data as far as our data exchanges. So great question there on that one. But yes.
Let me add one more piece to that also.
Go for it, Joel.
In addition, the line attachments will also be sent to the supplier. So in addition, so the header comments, the line comments, and the line attachments will all be sent to the supplier.
Great. And we will be working going forward. I know in your current environment, you have a checkbox and you can check to make them internal and things like that. we're going to be working going forward to give you that functionality back. If you have internal things that you want to keep internal, we're doing a attachment on the header. Is that correct? Is how we can do that? Okay.
So either attachment on the header or that at the line level, there's an additional information piece that also does not go to the supplier.
That's right. There's an additional information section in the line item where you can put internal notes that will not go to the supplier. Thank you, Joel. And we confirmed that the other day. Actually, that's one of the things I was playing with and I was able to confirm. So good question. Next one, this might be a Joel Mark as well. Production single, and this is from Dean, production single sign-on testing update. Will we be able to get the prod configuration data and complete the testing next week for prod? And I assume a lot of our single sign-on are set up in UAT. Does that just port? How does that work?
Technically, it's a separate connection.
Okay.
Dean, we'll get back with you probably Monday to check out that schedule and other agencies that are wanting to do the production setup early. I think Monday we'll have an update for you guys.
Great. Thanks, Mark. Thanks, Joel. The next one, Lisa has actually already marked this one that she would like to answer it. So I'm going to turn it over to her. It's from Sandra Rotkowski. I hope I don't intentionally mean to butcher anybody's last name. And it says, I was unable to get signed into the testing using the username and password for my account executive. Are there any issues known? So Lisa, go ahead.
So there is, I'm going to say, a kind of a known setup requirement where you have to have a unique email address in the system. And we've noticed that with some of our a lot of our testers, when we are moving people around or setting them up, sometimes they get duplicate accounts and we have to go in behind the scenes and clear that up. So that is something that we're working on. Sandra, I have already sent your information to our global security officer to take a look at your UAT specific account. She'll, because I see that you have 2 set up and I'm guessing that's probably the issue right there. And she will work out the details with that with your account executive, who will then filter that information back to your entity central point of contact, and then get that information to you for login purposes and so on. So it is kind of a known issue that we've run into and experienced with testing, and it's something that we are actively working through. It's kind of why it's got a little bit of a delayed with some of the testing that you all have been pulled into specifically for starting inside your client entity testing.
Thank you, Lisa. And I would just like to remind everyone to please put your questions in the Q&A. We have several that have come over in the chat, and we want to make sure that we have those addressed by our panel members. So please make sure you take those questions that may be in the chat and put them into that Q&A. Thank you so much.
Yes, because as you see me putting my glasses on, I'm not watching the chat, I'm watching the Q&A. So thanks, Kim. Just a quick follow-up here. Whitney Miller, do you know what Eva will look like for those users that only approve purchases? I think I kind of touched on that. They're going to have likely a role that, kind of, if that's all they do, it's going to limit. They're not going to see sourcing. They're not going to see a lot of other things. They're really just going to see kind of the link says procurement, and they will certainly be able to get in that way. But again, approvers are going to get an email that they have something to approve. There'll also be a to-do list on their homepage when they log in, and also up by their where your login name is, you can hit a drop down and you have tasks and to-do lists up there as well. So it'll be pretty basic for somebody if that's their only chore is approving. A lot of times I think of, in that case, if all you're doing is approving, you may have somebody from fiscal that's in there. Also your agency heads, right? That's maybe the only task that they do is approving, and that's going to be very basic for them. They're going to get an email right on the screen. They should see it. It's not going to be hard to get to that. So the next one, Angelica Bab. Lisa also marked that she would like, I love it. Lisa's marking that she'd like to answer these. So I know who it is. So I'll read it and let Lisa answer. Sourcing and contracting. If we post a solicitation now with a closing date in January 2022, will that solicitation roll over to the new platform on January 3rd?
Yes, I take the easy ones.
But it
So as
depends what tool you use.
But she said sourcing and contracting.
Oh, she did. I'm sorry.
Specific. So we, December 1st, VBO buyer was sunset. A lot of us here were really excited about that. Long time coming, way overdue for our user community. And we know this is a transition and a change for you all. However, all of your solicitations that are in sourcing and contracting will be available after we convert over into the new environment. However, I'm going to add an asterisk because I ran some reports and numbers and I looked at VBO buyer solicitations that had not been awarded. And there is a lot of those out there. So you need to go in and work on those and get your VBO buyer solicitations awarded and updated. And that is if you're logging into the VBO buyer application specifically before conversion, just as a reminder. But if you're using sourcing and contracting, it's going to move over and you'll be good to go.
Awesome. Thanks, Lisa. And actually, Lisa, you're set up for the next one. This is great. Who is approving? This is from Ebony Beaver. Who is approving our items entered in UAT? I would like to complete a purchase from A to Z, but some are stuck pending approval.
Cool. Ebony, that is great feedback. I'm probably going to repeat myself with this, but each entity we've asked to have a central point of contact with testing. When you run into these things, you can escalate those to that person at your organization and then to the account executive. And we're working on getting everyone moved over their entity set up with some approval-esque things so you can get those pushed through the system. And additionally, I would say join us for our 9 to 11 on-demand support hours if you continue to have some challenges with that, because we are staffed up in that room. We shut it down early today, so everyone could attend the user group here, but our DPS staff are available to help you with those questions that you run into in testing if you need some real-time support. Don't call customer care. Come to the on-demand support hours.
Good point. Thanks, Lisa. Good stuff. And there's all sorts of great people manning that on-demand support. We've got our team. There's some account executives in there. It's a good crew. You'll get some good help there for sure. Real quick one from Vicky Chapman. She said migrated, but I'll also say converted. Will converted purchase orders have their attachments? Yes, if they hit our criteria or their active orders, absolutely. Everything's coming over in that conversion. You will also have your attachments there. Kylie Robbins, that's one of our people, has asked a question, but she wants to do it. She's asking us to get some good information out. So I'm gonna answer this question. How long will the new Eva training be available? Also, she put in at no cost to the entities in the LMS. Forever and ever, amen. I mean, we don't see an ending to that. Eva training for the last 20 years has been free. It will remain free. Now I get it. We go to the forum and you have to pay for the forum and some things like that. And we're at the forum. But if you're talking about coming in and it's specific Eva training, either when we used to do on-person Eva training or when an account executive came out to your organization or somebody from my team, the Eva team came out to train you or whoever, or now with the LMS and how we're doing kind of this on-demand self-guided training with VILT with some in-person training at the end. Our plan at this point, it's going to be a long-term thing for us. It's really the way we want to run the training program, and there will be no cost to anybody, either our supplier community or you guys in our buying community for that training. That is our plan, to continue to provide that Eva training at no cost. So great, Kylie. Thanks for reiterating that, because she mentioned it came up in a training class that she was in earlier this week. So thank you, Kylie, for that. Jan has popped in, and I see this next question. Jan would like to answer. I'll go ahead and read it and then let Jan get you answer here. Can you go over how the Eva billing fees, well, Jan was going to get this one anyway, will be assessed, corrected if we don't close out a PO in the current Eva, but have to create a new PO in the new platform due to a needed change order? So Jan, if you'd like to take that one, please.
Certainly. For those orders that convert, if you discover that you need to do a change order, because we're in a new system, we can't actually make that change in the new system. So what would have to happen is you would cancel the PO, and billing will pick up that it's a cancellation and credit any fees that have been assessed. And then the next step to that is to create a new PO in the system for the revised amount. And then Eva Billing will run in the background and then apply the fees for the value of that purchase order that is then issued. In the situation where you have a purchase order from current Eva today that does convert, and you realize you need to add quantity or dollars to that purchase order, we have added a field that allows you to pick the purchase order number. And so that field will be labeled PO Eva Billing Reference. And it will let you pick the original Eva PO, and then billing will programmatically calculate any fee difference. So if a vendor's already hit the cap, the billing program will know based on what you picked in that pick list that the cap for fees has already been met and will not charge additional fees. If the cap hasn't been met, billing will program to calculate what additional fees come in based on this new PO that you have then added.
Thank you, Jan. Good stuff. Next one from Susan Bosch, and Lisa, you're up on this one. In the current sourcing and contracting module, can I input an individual number created by Fairfax County for the post, or do I only have a system generated number?
You're able to do that. What we are recommending is putting it in the title field in order to capture your number there. However, I would encourage everyone to start kind of exploring the possibilities of using the system generated numbers. I know a lot of times your business processes, before you do your post, that number's already been created. You've gone to your agents throughout your organization to get approvals to even compete that opportunity. So maybe at that point in time, just creating the shell and getting the number earlier in the process would help you with that too. But you just include it maybe in the title instead of the number field itself. That does create some confusion for the supplier community, but it does make the number searchable. So I always kind of one of the examples that we have for quick quotes, for purchase orders and requisitions. If you're using the Eva tools, those numbers are already system generated. So see if there's a way that you can start leveraging those system generated numbers, maybe coming in Eva a little bit earlier.
Great. Thank you, Lisa. All right. I'm probably going to need Mark on this next one because I want to make sure I get this right. So it's from Vicki Chapman, and it's talking about, so we have this concept now of custodial accounts, which we know is going to change in the new system because you can delegate and actually reassign and groups of transactions, the entire transaction, or individual transactions, groups of transactions, you can absolutely reassign them. You're not actually giving account access anymore. You're going to look for any open transactions or any transactions that still need work, and you can physically reassign them to users. But the question was, how do we manage this? Because the original user, the original buyer, is no longer employed, so it's a deactivated account, so that we can delegate the purchase. Now, my understanding is that that's an active purchase that's had, a PO, a contract, a sourcing, whatever it is, because it's active, because it's still having, it's had changes to it. It's been modified recently. It's going to convert. The deactivated user is technically going to convert as well, because you've got reference issues. We need to know who that user was. Mark, am I correct that at an administrative level, even if the transactions associated with the deactive user, I can still go in and reassign that work?
Absolutely. Yeah. So there's two levels to deal with delegation. Yes, you can delegate your approval for someone being out of the office or short-term or long-term or forever. That's one area of delegation. There is also reassignment of work. So in that situation where an employee has left and you have a procurement that was assigned to them and you need to give ownership to somebody else. So the system handles both of those features.
But the key here for you, Vicky, is that transaction and that original user will convert, and
Yes.
the user won't be active, but for historical purposes, for reference purposes. And then at an administrative level, we'll be able to do that reassignment. Now, I don't know how quickly we're going to be rolling out the reassignment of work and how that works. I think there's some machinations to be worked out on how we delegate that down to the agency level or the entity level, excuse me. I know not all of you are with agencies. I think there's a little bit to be worked out there, but the functionality is there. The ability to do that is there. So we'll be working with you guys. Your account executive will be working with you guys to get those reassignments done. And hopefully at some point in the very short-term future, we'll be able to delegate that out and you'll be able to do that type of administrative work within your own entity. You won't have to rely on us for that. So great question. Belinda Durham has a question. With all the training, where do you put the accounting, right? Little different name for it in a requisition. It's called allocations now, but it's your accounting. So for those of you that have access to UAT and you're doing a requisition, it's at the bottom. You'll see allocations. And as you add line items, the allocations will be there. From a training perspective, I know Sarah Lewis, who is, and I know several other team members who are been doing a lot of work and training for us, are on this user group meeting. And I'm sure she's taking that as a note to make sure that's been covered and make sure it's clear from an allocation perspective so that we're training you on that. But again, if you have UAT access, if you're able to see that, it's at the bottom of the requisition. And it's just a different title. They just call it allocations in our new platform that we're getting ready to move to. Vicky Chapman again has a question, and I may have to get Vicky to clarify this in a follow-up question, but she says, when creating the requisition and the P card is selected, how is that verified on the requisition? And I'm not sure. I'm not clear. I mean, I know there's a P card section, you add the P card. I don't know what the verification is. Certainly if you use a P card and you're not the owner of the P card, there are various setups like you do on behalf of where you can associate a P card with a transaction, that there'll be an approver will come in for that. But I'm not sure what you mean about how is that verified. It creates a PCO. Maybe that's what you're looking for. Like if you associate a P card to a requisition and the requisition gets fully approved, it does still generate a PCO. And maybe that's what you're looking for. But Vicky, if you need a follow-up, just throw that in there from a follow-up perspective if I didn't get that right. Susan Bosch again, Lisa's marked this one. She's back on board. I'm putting a post together on the sourcing and contracting portal. It is listing that I cannot complete my post without submitting lot. Oh, this must be in the
Production.
Oh,
Production.
okay. What is this? I don't think we have ever had to do to list a lot. So Lisa, take it away.
So when you create a sourcing event, it should default with a standard lot. If you have deleted it, you will run into this error message. The lot information doesn't show out to really the public side of the house too much, but you do have to have a bucket to put things in. You can't just have a line item out there that's hanging without a bucket to put it in, if you will. So our customer care team should be able to support you with that specific question. And I would encourage you to reach out to them and they can walk you through what you would need to do to resolve that issue and have your solicitation posted successfully.
Great. Joel and Mark, get ready. Next one's for you. Radford, and it's from Teresa Anders. Hey, Teresa. Radford University is an integration school. We have been looking at the approval diagram for recs and POs. Can you explain how integration will work? Rec level or PO level? We currently integrate at the PO level. So I think we need just a description of how that's working.
Joel, you're on mute. Do you want to start and I'll fill in the blanks, or you want me to start?
Either way, you go ahead, Mark. If you want,
The
or
ba-
you want me to take the lead?
the basic high level integration principle is each organization down at the what we call the BiSense org level, it gets to determine if they're going to use integration and if they're going to do it at the rec or the PO level and what the thresholds are. So Radford, if you decide you want to do it, your flag for rec is set to false, your flag for PO is set to true, and what amount or threshold triggers that feature. So when you look at that workflow diagram, you probably see just a diamond for send to ERP. I forget what Joel, you remember what the diamond's called? I don't remember. But Teresa, that's exactly what it's going to do. It's going to basically look to see who you are and what your thresholds are. And it will then send, for the case of Radford, when you're doing the order, it will then send the order as part of its approval flow into Radford and wait for a response for essentially a yes or no back response for whether that order can proceed or not.
Great. Hope that got that one. And Teresa, if you have any other questions, I know there's some support for the integration testing. You can route that through to, Joel, Maria, and Lisa. Are the integration testers coming into the support sessions that we have in the morning as well?
They absolutely can. Our focus is specifically on creating the transactions itself. Any questions that relate to integration specifically, we do have to escalate those to our DGS ISS resources. If they come in and Maria or Anu are available, we can invite them into the room and put you in a breakout session if necessary. We haven't had too many people come in for that, but it's definitely an opportunity and a thing that we can leverage.
Great. Next one, Lisa, you can just stay on the line here because you're Vicki Chapman. How is the order item tag, open requisition, and bypass fields used?
I like this. This is new functionality that we're getting. So the order item tag is when you are creating a catalog item. You are able to, there's certain tags, and right now they're not things that I imagine will be leveraged go live. They're set as like hazard or things like that. It's something that we'll explore, probably customizing after go live to see what works for you. So I think that's an opportunity where if you have ideas or suggestions then on how this would be helpful for your users that are requisitioners, then share that up or make some notes, and we can definitely consider that as we move forward. As far as the open requisition, the name is a little tricky. We have a request in for that where we can update that label to make it more clear. That's actually how you would leverage the blanket order feature in the new platform, which is very nice. So when you select that, it takes it from a standard requisition to create a blanket order.
And Lisa, I think we just wanted to change the label on that to say
Yes,
create
it's just
blanket
the
order.
label. Yeah.
But
To
that's
make
what
it
that, when
just-
you check that box, that's what it does. So.
And the bypass fields is for integration agency entities. And I'm not going to pretend to be very familiar with that process, but it's really if you don't need it to go to your interface or integration entity. Joel, Shane, y'all might be able to jump in and
No,
give
when you
more
click
details there.
So Mark and Joel just talked about, if you look at the approval flow, you'll see an ERP integration box, right? For those, as Mark mentioned, at the entity level, you turn that on if it's going to fire. So let's use Radford as an example. They do order or PO integration. So every PO, and there's some rules, and maybe they don't do PCO orders, but in the grand scheme of things, every purchase order that's coming through to Radford, they're going to integrate it to their financial system. Great. And it's a real-time integration. Super cool. By clicking that bypass flag, it actually causes that not to fire. And it just goes straight through and just skips the integration. If you're not an integration agency, I mean, you can click the flag, it's not going to do anything. But that's what it's for those organizations that do integration. And that's functionality that's in the existing environment. There's a bypass integration. So great stuff. I'm most excited about the open requisition or the blanket PO, because that is completely new functionality on how you do blanket purchase orders. Now, the question is, Lisa, I know we had found some problems in test with that. Has that been corrected? Because I'm envisioning everybody running out and testing blanket POs right now.
So I know that we had a migration last night. And for those of you who are not familiar, on the testing website, there is a schedule of our UAT downtime. Often we do that at night, starting at 5 o'clock on Mondays. But if we need to, if we can do something, if we have enough to do those sooner, we do work those in throughout the week as well. But we did have a drop last night. I haven't reviewed everything that's come in for that just yet, or what's scheduled for Monday. I would anticipate that would be something coming in the coming weeks. Mark, do you have a specific date? I can go in and look in JIRA real quick and then maybe give us.
No, I don't recall the date, but since you brought up testing, I know people struggle. The bypass integration flag can be very helpful to your testers if you are not intending to test integration and things are getting stuck. I know we've gotten internal and external questions. It just dawned on me. I kind of forgot about it. So that really is a good way if you're not intending on testing interface integration. Check that box and you can continue your test without getting stuck.
Great. Thanks, everybody. Appreciate the feedback. Ebony Beaver, is there any info to be shared regarding agency-specific eForms? I may have missed, but I haven't seen anything about custom eForms. That is correct. We know they're on there. It's something we want to address. But certainly that's something that it may be a post go live situation for some of our eForms to try to get those back online. So we certainly apologize about that. That's something we're considering and trying to figure out how to get those in as quickly as possible. So certainly in kind of the rushed condition that we're in, that is an area where we certainly need to address that. So I know that's not a great answer, but that's where we are for right now. But definitely one of our considerations that we're dealing with. Next one from Vicky Chapman here. How will we get and Joel wants to answer this one. Will we get the bill to URL on the ship address? And Joel has marked himself to want to answer this one.
So, and I might have actually misread the question a bit and stuff. So what I really wanted to kind of confirm with the bill to ship to address is currently kind of what you're seeing in the system right now is a kind of a unique identifier from a valuable perspective that is out there. We are working towards migrating it. And when we go live in production, the bill to ship to addresses will copy down from production. And so it will be the same bill to ship to addresses that we currently have in the production environment. We'll copy down. Moving forward, we will keep that same convention with the entity code at the beginning, and there will be a set of digits towards the end. Now, to give you a heads up, that field is going to be expanding so that we can handle more addresses for entities that have a very lot of addresses. So from a URL perspective, I'm not quite sure I understand that question. Are you looking for more of the address to be there? Are you looking for the ID to be there? What kind of URL? I'm not exactly sure.
Okay. And, you know, if you need to clarify, you know, that question, what you're looking for, just throw it in. I will say, because, you know, kind of looking at time, we still got a lot of time left. If we don't get to your question, much like we've done on all of these user groups where we've taken questions, we'll make sure Kim does a great job. She pulls those questions for us. We answer them and we'll follow up with you. So again, if you're like, oh my gosh, my question's not getting answered, that's our commitment. We'll pull the questions and get you an answer back. So, you know, I know Vicky, we've asked, you know, you and a few of you to like, hey, we're not quite sure what you're asking here. Can you clarify it? I promise you, if you get it into the Q&A, if we don't cover it today, we'll make sure we get it to you. So Lisa's up again. Peter Batley. Good morning, Peter. The search feature within UAT does not appear to retrieve data from as many fields as the existing platform does. For example, When I search for orders that I created in UAT by searching for my name, I cannot find them. How does the search feature in the new platform compare to the search feature within the current environment? So Lisa.
I think, and if you're okay with this, Shane, it's an awesome opportunity to do a little quick demo
Go for
and
it.
share that. So if I can figure out what I'm doing, bear with me. We've been doing this for a year, but where is my page? Maybe let's just do this one and we're going to play Wild West. So if you come into your procurement and you do browse requisitions, one thing that I really like to point out, if you're just using this keywords field, you might be struggling. However, there is this little funnel over here on the left-hand side that if you click it, it gives you all kinds of different filters that you can add in to expand your search. My list is crazy because the test client that I'm in has every allocation possible, which you all know that is custom for each one of our organizations. However, but for Peter specifically, you are looking for how can you find yours that you've created. And if you come down here to the requester field, you can type in your name. And it does a little weird thing where it popped up there, but then you hit the search button. And we can come in and put you on the spot. You ask the questions. You've been busy working hard in the test environment. Great work there.
Good job, Peter.
Nice,
Great. Yeah, he's busy.
to find those requisitions that you're working on. But I would encourage everyone to explore this. And this is something important to share out to your users as they start coming into the test environment and after production. And you can pin it using this little icon right here to the side as well. But it does give you a nice selection and I think more search features than what you're used to in production today.
Hey, Lisa, I got a question while you're on there. If you could scroll up the screen a little bit. What about the My Request checkbox there?
Let's see. I don't know if I've done anything. Oh wait, I'm deleting all kinds of stuff. Hold on, bear with me. This is where my mouse gets faster than my brain. Oh, look, I've been busy too.
So that sorts at the My Request.
I completely missed that because I always go over here.
So you could do that as well on a lot of the screens. For My Request, you just click it and do a search and it'll just give you yours back.
Nice. More than one way to do it. So that's nice too.
But it's good to show all that because the filtering is way more than just requester on that side that Lisa just showed. So,
yep.
Good stuff. Thank you, Peter. Good question. Thank you, Lisa. All right, Barb Lehman. Let's get Barb on the line here. Michael Graham, can we prevent electronic submission for construction IFBs in favor of continuing to receive paper responses while we update, modify our procedures to accommodate e-responses?
So good question. And I verified with Mark, I think we're correct in saying that currently, no, you cannot prevent electronic responses. Certainly you can include additional instructions in your solicitation to request that they not submit anything electronically. However, if you are considering accepting electronic responses, which we highly encourage you to do that, I believe that some of our team has worked with some of the folks at the Division of Engineering and Buildings to come up with some kind of model procedures for assisting agencies and clients with kind of transitioning into that. So reach out to me, reach out to your account executive if you need a little assistance in that area.
Thanks, Barb. Good stuff. Next one, we're pulling Lisa back in from Chris Taylor. Why is there a save and a save and close? Based on the window, this can be confusing. Does it have to have both buttons? When the save button has a symbol of a lock, I'm guessing not to click on it.
So Mark can step in if I am oversimplifying this, but save just saves your work as you go. Just like if you think about when you're working in Word, you save your work periodically so you don't lose anything. One of the things I would say in the new platform is that I would encourage you as you move through steps and you fill out fields, it is important to save as you go, because a lot of times if the preceding fields require information you will need to, based on what you've entered originally, you'll have to hit save first. So that's what the save button is doing. The save and close is keeping you from closing something without saving your work. So it is a true save and close, so you can close that window that you're working in and navigate back to maybe just the out of the pop-up and back to the main page.
And that last question around the save and lock, the buttons just have an image. I'm not familiar with where the lock symbol is. Chris will go look unless you can chat us back and tell us where you saw the lock symbol. If it is confusing, we will take a look. Normally the save doesn't have a lock on it, but I don't know where every button is. And
Cool.
it's just a standard that this solution uses between save and close.
Great. And Lisa, do you still have your screen available by chance in UAT?
I can have it available, yes.
Because I think this next one, Catherine Bobo asked, what will punch out catalogs look like? Well, once you click into a punch out catalog, they'll look like they do now. If you'd like to go over to the shop and search products just real quick, the punch outs will come in several places. We've got a little bit going in UAT, and we actually just did one this morning that threw one up. Oh man, Sandy's been busy too. So, and I know not all of you follow the mandatory sources. We get it. Don't get upset. We're just doing this in test, but we sort by mandatory source contracts and then all the other catalogs. So we've got VCE, and the pictures aren't pretty yet, but VCE and VDC are there. Notice the little button where it's like a little shopping cart. It has little arrows, and it's a shopping cart and it's going to the world. That is a punch out item. If you go down to the next level, you've got contracts there. Now, some of the mandatory sources were showing up in there, which is fine, but you'll see some contract punch outs. Then there's actually a punch out area. So you can see punch outs get a lot of focus. And then if you go down one more, just to see a regular catalog, that one on the left, the sanitizer, where it just says add to cart, that is like your traditional not punch out catalog, or your just kind of your line item based catalog. Anything with the little cart in the world is punch out. And then when you click on that, in that case, it's VDC. It's going to go into the VDC website, just like you see today. Or punch outs back up, Lisa?
I don't think so.
I knew they were down. Yeah. So punch outs, Mark, punch outs are down in UAT. If you weren't aware, we figured that out this morning too. So anybody that's testing UAT, the punch outs are down. So good stuff on that.
And just to remind people too, over here in the left-hand navigation, you have a filter here as well. So this is where we talked a lot about the standard features throughout the platform. And over here in the left navigation, you can check a box and you can search and get a list of all punch out beyond just that first row that Shane showed you as well.
Yeah, but we're still working on that area, kind of getting the, all the catalogs broken out. And, as part of conversion, you'll see a plethora of those catalogs convert over, particularly our punch outs and where they're located and things like that.
This one's working.
Oh, good. Oh, there you go. See, and it just looks like Ranger. It's just, oh, Mark, you needed to say something? I saw you.
No, I just say it's probably something in the setup for that particular punch out.
Gotcha. Joel, I'll let you or maybe Mark take this one. Etta Henry, good morning, Etta. When will interface testing commence?
We are working very hard to get interface available. I realize that time is ticking away very quickly. We need to do some testing internally to make sure, at least to the best of our knowledge, that it's working correctly before we turn it over. Last thing we want to do is turn something over to you that we know is not quite working right and stuff. And so that's just our thing. We want to do a little bit of internal testing first until we can get it knocked out. It will be available here really soon. I know that's not a great answer, and probably not the answer you were looking to hear, but as soon as we can get it turned on, the team is working very hard to get that rolled out to you. So I apologize for the delay, but as soon as we can roll it out to you, we will get it rolled out that very second.
Great. Thanks, Joel. Vicki Chapman, we would like most of our users locked out of Eva for the first week of January. How do we accomplish this if we do not have user management? I mean, I'm looking at Mark here a little bit. I assume that's something we could do at a global level very quickly.
Yeah, no, as long as we know which organizations that we can take it, we can handle that request.
All right, so that's a request we could handle. Vicki, I would route that through your account executive to make sure we have that queued up. But certainly that's something we could do. And I know the user management, data management piece, if you've seen those messages, that there's a delayed rolled out with those. They are coming back to you, I promise. This is going to be very temporary and short-term issue. We are very, very much want to make sure that those of you that handle your own security get back in that business as quickly as possible. It's a top priority for us to make sure you have that access and have those controls back at the entity level. And we will be getting that back to you as quickly as possible. But any security requests like that can certainly be routed to your account executive. So thank you for that, Vicki. This next one, Joel would like to take, and let me, Shubham Keshri, and if I got your name, if I butchered your name, I greatly apologize. But none of the Logi reports are working in the UAT environment right now. Will it be fixed going forward? So Joel, go ahead.
Yeah, absolutely. Prior to going live, the reports that are out there will be checked and we'll be working. We're working on those reports. We just haven't updated them in the environment that you are looking at. And so, yeah, most definitely prior to going live, all the Logi reports available will be, that will be available. We'll be going live. There may be a few different ways of doing things. Maybe we may point you into the value application because there's maybe a better way of finding that information than going to a Logi report where you actually have to go outside the system. There may be something inside of Evalua that you can accomplish that task and get that information while on the screens that you're already working on instead of having to go out to an external report. But yeah, we realize that those reports aren't working for you right now. They certainly will be prior to launch.
Awesome. Lisa, you're up here with Catherine Sirotin. Again, hope I got that right. Catherine, good morning. Regarding the strategic and contracting module, and I'm going to say sourcing and contracting module, when you say the solicitation is going to move over from the existing system to the new platform, does that also mean you will be able to edit, make changes, and award in the new EVA system for solicitations that convert from the old system to the new, or will it be read-only and you won't be able to make any changes?
All of the solicitations and sourcing and contracting will move over, and you will be able to issue your amendments and post your awards after we have done our conversion in the new platform.
And those are open solicitations or solicitations that are closed and an award decision has not been made?
And that answer is specific to solicitations and sourcing and contracting. If you are using Quick Quote or VBO Buyer, you need to have those awards posted prior to conversion. We are encouraging you to get as many in as you can prior to. We are committed to do updates for those through, after go live for those solicitations to meet your policy requirements. But you can help us by that now to be successful overall by, if you have the award, prioritizing getting those awards in for those solicitations posted through VBO Buyer and Quick Quote.
Great. Thanks, Lisa. Oh, sorry, the thing just got updated and I lost my spot. All right, right here. I got initials here, VW Haynes, it looks like. Could you please explain how the vendor will be notified about orders that are still in the order status? Will the vendor receive another email notification letting them know about the new purchase order number? And Kim Brewer actually popped in and said she wanted to answer this one. So Kim.
That was me saying that it was being answered. But well, I mean, I can, I guess I could.
Or, well, wait, Mark, do you want to jump in?
But
No, I
well,
was
I
just-
mean, I was
Go
gonna
ahead,
say,
Kim.
we can both, we're actually putting together a training asset for our suppliers currently, about them being able to receive orders and order acknowledgement. So there's a couple of things going on here for all of our suppliers. We will have the ability for them to access their orders directly through their account when they log in, which is a fantastic enhancement to the platform, so they won't have to maintain two different accounts, Ariba and then their Eva, in order to get those orders. And then in terms of getting a notification, yes, if they have their account set up that way, they'll get notifications about orders and then have to go in and acknowledge those. They'll even have the enhanced ability, if they would choose, it's not a requirement, but it's going to be encouraged, to create a receipt shell that will then go back over to your buyer account, and it will start that receiving process for you all. And then, Mark, is there anything you'd like to add?
I just so I can help clarify the question, we're not intending, if they have a current order that gets converted, to resend.
Right.
It'd be confusing to suppliers to get a whole bucket of, an onslaught of new, but the training communication will certainly be, if you have existing orders, how you access them. Here's where you find the old number, if you will, on the screen, so they know where to find their orders
Great.
that convert.
Thanks,
And
guys.
then we're of course going to be supporting our suppliers the same way we will our buyers post go live, and be able to provide that live interaction and help as well.
Good stuff. Thank you both. All right, Connie Plower. Sorry, Connie, if I messed up your name. I'm bad with some names. You'd think with a last name like Caldill, I'd be better at that. I have registered and started taking the online trainings for the new Eva system. Will we be getting a new Eva user ID to log on to enter our orders? No. Your existing ID is going to transition over or convert over. So no changes. And quite honestly, no changes to your password either. As long as it's active, when the new system comes up, you'll use your existing user ID and password. For those of you that are on single sign-on or federated identity management, depending on what you call that, that'll be active and available as well. So good news all the way around for that one. The next one, Cynthia Norman. It is my understanding that entry tickets only need to be signed off on if you're requesting a new Eva account, but not if you're a current account holder. But not if you are a current account holder, just taking the courses to be familiar with the new system.
So I can kind of address this as
Okay.
well, because
Thanks, Kim.
we had a similar question, and you can check back in the answered tab, but we had a similar question come over about VILT, VILT. And if you have a trainer at your entity who has gone through the trainer, they'll be scheduling those VILTs or those in-person trainings, and then they would sign off on your ticket. If you are not in an entity that has a train the trainer on staff, then our DPS account, our DPS staff will be working to sign off on those tickets. And then we are planning those VILTs and kind of working on that schedule. So hopefully that kind of helps clarify that for you. And if you are the trainer, you shouldn't have to take the VILT, and you would want to make sure that you are following the learning journey for the trainer.
Awesome. Awesome. And thank you. Awesome. And thank you. So Jan got specifically, she not only selected it, but she's also in the question. So from Letha Dickerson, good morning, Letha. Jan, how or does the change order that has to be canceled affect any payment that may have been made against an old Eva PO? Meaning, will the PO number reference still remain in the system?
So yes, the PO number will still be in the system. The purchase orders that convert, from a payment standpoint, there's no effect on that payment. I do want to point out that if you need to do that change order, when you do a cancellation, it cancels the order. That doesn't affect any payment. It's important to make sure that if you have already paid or you're in the process of paying, that you enter a new order that correctly identifies your quantity and amount. That's important for not only transparency, but from a fiscal standpoint, they want to make sure that the purchase order matches your payment, so that from an audit perspective, you haven't complete, if you don't go and do that change order or add that new order, you'll, on an audit or a procurement review, you might see where a payment was made, but the purchase order wasn't there to accurately reflect. So it's important to make sure that you kind of close that loop and issue the purchase order for the correct amount of what the payment or payments will be.
Awesome. Thanks, Jan. Good stuff. Let's see. Oh, Vicky, I sorry I keep doing this to you, and maybe somebody keep saying, hey, Vicky, you need to qualify that one for me. The new terminology is behind a login. Can you share that? I'm not sure what you're referencing there, Vicky, about the new terminology being behind a login. I assume you have a UAT login, so I don't know what would be. I'm not exactly sure what you're referencing there. So you can, again, I've said this several times, but if you have a little clarification for us, we can help you out there. Lisa's got this next one. Angelica Bab. Good morning, Angelica. Sourcing and contracting. A previously posted solicitation was posted with a closing date of December 17th. We have attempted to issue an addendum pushing out the close date to January 10th. Eva issues an error message and will not accept the January 10th close date edit when validated. How does this differ from posting a new solicitation with a January close date?
Lots of good information in there from what I can understand, because Tracy said that customer care got this call yesterday and they're actively working and looking into another situation like this. So please reach out to customer care. It has to do, I believe, with the paper response checkbox flag. So it's just something that if you can reach out to our customer care team, they'll be able to tweak that behind the scenes for you, get it fixed, so that way you can immediately get it out the door. They may have to reach out, of course, to our CGI resources to help with that as well, but definitely just reach out and we'll get you straight.
Yep, reach out to customer care. Your AE might be able to help you with that too, if they're familiar with it. I don't know how familiar everybody is with that issue, but certainly customer care. So good stuff there. Mel Sanchez, just kind of a clarification here. So the delegation of the account, in essence, would be another word for custodial accounts. I will tell you, we're going to be removing custodial account from our terms, right? We're not doing custodial accounts anymore. When we move into the new platform and an individual has a long leave of absence, retires or leaves your organization, or if there's a short period, or if you just want to move something. As Mark mentioned earlier, we have a lot of options now. So you can delegate an individual transaction, and that's just boom. You get it in your approval and you just delegate. You can physically reassign work and reassign transactions. You don't have to do the whole account, right? If you have a user who's been with you for 10 years, and they've done thousands of transactions, where you're not going to reassign transactions that are closed, contracts that have long since expired, POs that you're no longer taking action on. But any active transactions, be it 5, 10, 100, you can reassign them to another individual and they move out. Right now, that custodial account that we've been doing, that's a workaround. And it's not ideal. And I know our security people don't care for it at all, because when you do a custodial account, you get full access to the account. That ain't great. But this new platform we're moving to, the ability to delegate for a certain period of time, your entire account, delegate individual transactions, completely reassign a transaction or set of transactions. Those are the options we'll have moving forward. So it's definitely a great benefit there. So we're excited about that. And again, we'll have some guidance on that. We'll be putting that together for you. You'll need to work with us for those first couple of weeks after we go live, if you need some help with that, and we'll get you that help. But at some point, we'll be able to delegate that out. And, you know, at certain managerial levels, security levels, you'll be able to do that at your own entity. So we're very excited about that one. Joanne Bryant, Lisa wants to answer this one as well. I was entering an RFP into UAT. I was having issues with adding team members. Has anyone else had this issue?
Yes, it's a known issue. Mark's nodding his head. It's something that we're looking into and we'll resolve. I will add, if you save, I believe, and come back in or go to the next tab, it'll refresh and it's there. But it is definitely something that we're looking into fixing for you all.
And it has.
Thank
been
you for
fixed.
sharing. Anything that you see, please don't sit in silence and assume that we've already found it.
It's been fixed. We just need to schedule it. So.
Excellent. Thank you, Mark. Thank you, Lisa. Jennifer Sheeler. Jennifer, I'm going to do something with your question to get that to a training resource. And I might come back to that one. So Jennifer, hang on for just a sec. Vanessa Sharina. And I'm going to answer this, but Mark can stop me if I'm wrong. But I think the answer is positive. Will user P card information be migrated, converted into the new environment, or will buyers need to re-enter their P card in the new Eva? My understanding is if you have an active P card on your account, it will convert. Mark gave the thumbs up. So there you go. That one's going over. So good deal there. Vicky Chapman. And Lisa wants to answer this one. On the P card, I don't see the selection on the requisition itself before approval. I can follow up this during the Zoom sessions. Thank you. So Lisa, you wanted to add to that?
Yeah, I was just going to say, if you have a P card added to your account under the My Profile at the top right, I don't know if we have time for a demo right now since we've got a lot of questions, then you will have the P card showing in your left navigation. So first step, add your P card under My Profile, top right. And then as you are an approver and you're going through that process, if you look at the left side of your screen where you see workflow and other steps, there's an icon for P card, and then you can select your P card and apply it.
Great. All right. Okay, so let me get back to Jennifer here. Jennifer Sheeler. The training, probably the requisition training, seemed to show a mandatory field for reference code or something like that. There was no drop-down menu. In the practice, we were told to put in 002, but I didn't understand where that number came from or what it indicates. I reached out. Thank you, Sarah Lewis on our team. I reached out to her, and she says that she's pretty confident that was just an example. It doesn't state it's mandatory in the training, but she did mark that down as something to look at in the training and remove it if it's not necessary. So thank you for that feedback. And we'll get that over to Sarah so she can get the training adjusted. And let me throw something out here about our training. That's the beauty of the training. If you see something that doesn't seem right or could be clarified a little bit better, that ability to get that feedback back to us. The beauty of the training is we can update it and improve it and make it better. So thank you, Sarah, for coming in and giving me that chat so that I could get that straight. All right, we're crossing on. I see people are doing some updates here.
Sorry, the list is shifting for you right now.
Yeah.
It is. It's fine. I'm knocking out some stuff too. Joanne Estes, W-9. Will a vendor have the ability to self-register online? Yes. Also, will there be a W-9 template instead of attaching a paper version? No. There's not a W-9 template yet. Certainly something we could look into having a W-9 template, but not at go live. It's still going to be, we're going to get that attachment up there, mark it as a W-9. So there's definitely self-registration. That stuff's not going away. So those things are in there. So appreciate that, Joanne. But no, vendors will still be attaching the W-9 as a document, more than likely, and hopefully a PDF. Katie Micklem, it was my understanding from the training on VIP that multiple vendors could be used on one rec. Is this correct? Yes. If so, when we start a requisition and add items from multiple vendors, will each order have its own PO number? Yes. And let me tell you, if you were not aware, you can do that in the existing platform. In our existing environment, you can create a rec and add line items from multiple suppliers, and it creates multiple purchase orders. We usually don't train to that. We usually say, hey, one requisition, keep it the same supplier. And that way rec ties to PO. But again, this is a tool kit and it's a tool for you. So yes, if you did a requisition and added lines from multiple suppliers, it's going to create multiple purchase orders. That's just kind of the way it rolls. And again, that happens now, if you weren't aware. So that is something that actually happens now. So we'll continue to
And it's one,
support that.
just so
Go
folks
ahead.
are aware, it's one PO per supplier.
Correct.
Right.
Correct. Thank you, Mark. Michelle Canole. Hey, Michelle. Please confirm blanket order functionality is not in UAT just yet, and we don't know the ETA. Lisa.
So I was looking behind the scenes quickly. We put in a fix, but it was a partial fix. So there's still some work to be done there on the blanket orders. We have that noted as something that Michelle, who's with BCCS, is interested in. And when it is available, we'll be sure to reach out and let you know as well. But I would anticipate, I know that's something that's being worked on actively right now.
And Lisa, stay on the line. Do we have an ETA on when Q Manager will be in UAT?
Q Manager is in UAT. We just need to make sure that your organization has it flipped and turned on if you're leveraging that functionality. I thought that everyone had been set up for that is currently leveraging it, but just reach out to your account executive and they will be able to check in with that or escalate it as well. And yes.
Great. Thanks, Michelle. Thanks for reaching out. Joanne Estes, will we ever integrate with Cardinal or interface into Cardinal? Sure, at some point that we'd love to be able to do that. Not at Go Live. How about that answer? So if there's any of our friends on the Cardinal team, DOA out there, certainly something we'd like to do, but we're not going to broach that subject for quite a while. So, but no, not right at Go Live. Sherry Chapman. Oh, she said, and I think the answer to this is going to be yes. So this is kind of for Kim. Great questions. Can everyone get the questions and answers that are not responded to during the meeting? And we usually post those with the user group, right?
We usually do. For our open Q&A, we've just been relying on the playback. And what we'll do with the unanswered questions is those will get divvied out to your account executives and make sure that they can follow up with you if Barb is in agreement that is the proper way to handle that. And she's nodding her head yes. So thank you for supporting that. And that's what we did last time. So for whatever reason, because we are winding down to the last 10 minutes, things don't get addressed, then you can absolutely expect your account executive to follow up. So thank you.
All right. Scott, I may need a little clarification. The Scott Magazine, good morning, Scott, says, does the Eva logo also work? Well, of course it works. It's beautiful, the new Eva logo. It's fantastic. So I'm not sure what you're asking there.
Well, you can click it to take you back to the Eva homepage.
Maybe that was the question. Yes,
and that does
absolutely
work.
Click the logo to go back to the main buyer portal, So you can absolutely do that. And if you've been in UAT, you'll notice, now you notice the logo over my head here and over Jan's head is the old, and Joel is the old logo, but the new logo is in UAT. So maybe, Scott, if we didn't get your question answered, just hit us back again and we'll make sure we follow up with you there. So good stuff. Catherine Siratin, if we miss a PO in the old system that is older than 2 years old, and we don't add a comment or make a change to make it active, and it doesn't convert, will there be a way to request that historical PO from the old system is necessary? Well, there's not going to be a way to get it into the new system. However, Our report and resource center will still be there. You'll be able to run the PO reports. I'm sure there's a report where you can actually do the printout where it looks like the printout. I'm sure that will be that. Joel's shaking his head yes. So that's good. Joel is our IT guy there to keep us straight with all our reporting and functions and integration. So you'll be able to run those and pull them back. There won't be any way post conversion to say, oh, well, I want that one in the new system. You're going to have to key it back in or duplicate it and by keying it back in, but you will have access to it through the report and resource center, which is great. And I don't even know if we're going to call the link the report and resource center anymore, but the reports will be there for you. So thank you, Catherine, for asking that question. Question from Dean Stubbs. How does that search handle the preparer versus requester? Is it both? Do we have preparer and requester in the sort?
Currently, right now, it's just requester. I mean, the system's flexible. Certainly shows you who the preparer is, but the advanced filter Lisa showed right now has just requester.
Okay, good stuff. Thanks, guys. Denise Petisel, Barb, you're up. Per Barb's response regarding construction solicitations that only electronic responses are possible. Previously, it was stated that we could either request paper or electronic. Is that not the case?
So thank you, Shane. And I had put something in the chat because I'd seen Denise's question there too first, but the currently you can say paper only, right? And not accept any electronic responses. The new system will not have that restriction, but that does not mean you can not accept paper, right? So the new system will accept your electronic responses. You cannot turn that off, but you can still certainly accept paper. Just be very clear in your solicitation instructions of what your needs are, okay? And then Denise also, I saw, said she had not heard about any new processes from DEB. It's not necessarily a DEB new process, but DEB has worked with us on instructions or guidance for getting your vendors to submitting everything electronically and us being open to that as contract officers, right, on the construction side. They published something in one of their newsletters several months back. But again, Denise, you can reach out to your account executive because we can connect you with that information as well.
Awesome. Thanks, Barb. Aaron Evans, in the old system, I received, and Mark, catch me if I answer wrong, and you need to clarify it. In the old system, a received order could be changed until it was unreceived and reopened. Will the same be true in the new system? What if the order has gone through the step of being closed in the new system? You have all the same options in our new platform as the old platform. Change it until it's fully received. You can do returns. You can reopen orders. I don't think there's really, the machinations and the steps might be slightly different. You don't have to do negative receiving anymore, which is awesome. There's a return feature. It's a little bit cleaner and I would argue more normal, what you would expect in the new platform. But Mark, I'm not out of bounds with that, right? I mean, we can always grab an order, reopen it, change it, cancel. I mean, we can do all sorts of stuff.
I think it's something worth testing too. I mean, I don't know if Mark's tested that myself, but I know I haven't tried to close an order and receipt and then reopen it myself.
I've played with it a little bit and it's been pretty flexible. So it's my take on it. And everything's like, you get a log of what you've done and, you know, all that stuff too. So it's been pretty flexible. So Barb, I see a question on here from Denise about new processes from DEB, but I see that you're typing an answer. You want to take that one or continue?
No, I addressed it before in her other question about accepting electronic responses or not. So she can reach out to, you know, her account executive, but DEB had it in one of their newsletters not too long ago. And I believe that all of their newsletters are available on their website as well.
Great. Good stuff. Thank you, Barb. Let's see where I'm going to mark that one as answered live and get rid of it. There we go. Michelle Knoll. I wondered if you'd be coming back to me on this one, and Mark can help me with this one if I get out of bounds. Please explain how the lockout process will work in January. I asked about this several weeks ago and there wasn't going to be an option. Now, it's my understanding, and Michelle, if I got this wrong, I apologize. You were wanting to lock out users in the existing platform, in our current platform, our old platform, however you wanted to say it. There was she said, I just saw her chat come in. She said, right. There's a problem with that because that causes some issues for us with conversion. We want to make sure active users are active so that they convert into the new platform as active. There's a couple additional statuses in this new platform, and we want active to be active when we move them. There's just some nervousness around converting an entire organization, particularly as large as VCCS, and having everybody in some deactivated or locked out condition. We just didn't feel like that was something we wanted to do. However, based on a question we had earlier, once we get you into the new environment, it sounds like it's easier for us to go in and lock users out. And that's where I'm kind of staring at Mark.
Yeah, I mean, yeah, we just need to know who, and after we get them converted, yeah, if there are organizations that want to lock out their users, that can be handled.
Yeah, it's just, and again, it is a conversion situation. And Michelle, if I got your question wrong, Michelle, I think you wanted to do a lockout like in December in the existing platform. And we said, ooh, we're not comfortable doing that. But if we get all you guys into the new platform and you get a request in, now it may not promising first thing that Monday morning, but certainly we could get it where we could probably get folks locked out pretty quick.
And she's asking who that list should be sent to, and it should be her account executive.
Yes, absolutely, the account executive. Absolutely. And we're getting down to the bitter end here, so I apologize if I don't get to you. Your questions have been awesome today. Calandra Turnbull Jones, it was mentioned that scripts needed to run in the testing format. Do we do that, or is that something already done? If so, how do we do it? So I think Calandra is talking about maybe testing. And I don't think, Lisa, we need any more script testers per se. It's getting in and just testing and running through scenarios and getting yourself used to the system and business.
That may be a specific question at their entity. I know some of our clients actually have specific scripts that they are working through. So I would encourage you to, again, kind of coordinate that with your entity specific lead for testing. And if that needs to come up further, then through account executives or our on-demand support hours as well.
And I'll also add, to piggyback on that comment, that we did record the kickoff that we had for our external testers. And Lisa had, as part of that presentation, great examples of, if you don't know where to get started in UAT, just to get exploring. She gave great examples of different scenarios you can run through. And the best place to start is, what would you be doing in the new platform just as your everyday job, and run through those types of scenarios and expand out from there. We are running down to the last minute, so let's take one more and then we'll wrap things up and make sure that the outstanding questions, which will only end up with 10, will be addressed by your account executives as follow-up. So thank you so much.
Let's see, I'm looking for a good one here. And again, like I mentioned, everybody's questions will be answered. Let's see, maybe it's a quick one here. Ken Capco, good morning, Ken. Speaking of transferred POs, and I'm hoping Mark or Joel can answer this, in what field will the legacy PO number be shown? Do we know what field?
I believe on the requisition, it's called reference ID. Ken, we'll get back to you. I know we just put that on the screen. I don't recall the exact column on the PO. So we'll just send you the information.
Awesome. Thanks. We're up on time, guys. We so appreciate it. Any questions that are in the Q&A, I promise we'll follow up with you. That's our commitment to you guys. I think Kim said we answered 79 questions in 90 minutes. That's awesome. Awesome.
Yeah, and
awesome.
more
So-
awesome that you guys had all of these questions. So thank you for bringing those, and please continue to work with your account executive, reach out to your train the trainers if that's how your entity is structured. And then of course, lean on your colleagues. Maybe somebody that's already gone through the training knows the answer to your question or vice versa. And just get in there and explore, get into UAT and just poke around. It's the best way to learn. I can honestly say that because we're all in this, we're all in it together learning. And sometimes the
Sign up and
best way
take
that
your
I learn,
training.
yeah, the best way that I learn is actually by manning these help sessions. Cause I'm like, oh, that's a good question. Let's do that
And
together.
get your end users into the training. It's self-guided. The first part of it, they just got to sign, they do it themselves.
Some of the
Self-guided
questions you
training.
guys asked actually were addressed in the requisition training, which I can say that I'll boast that I've successfully completed. So, all right. Well, thank you so much. Thank you moreover for just being part of our user group. This has been a challenging year on a lot of different levels, but especially as we're moving full steam ahead towards this new platform. We're so excited about not only what 2022 is going to bring, but especially because this new platform we feel like is going to just take us into that next level and help us to continue to support the needs of the Commonwealth and those goals of purchasing and that purchasing excellence. And you guys are absolutely part of making this a success. So thank you. And thank you to our wonderful panelists for answering all those questions. You guys have a great rest of your day, a rest of the year, and we will see you with a new platform in 2022.
Happy holidays, everybody.
Take care, y'all.